Hey there, welcome back. Let's do what's in bloom today. The weather has gotten so hot so quickly in my Texas Gulf Coast area. It's sweltering around low 90s and was even worse a couple of weeks ago in the mid 90s. This nice spring weather of 70s and 80s did not last long. It feels like summer already, and the summer is actually 3 weeks away. I'm getting a bad feeling that this will be a dreadful record heat summer. With that said, we don't have a lot in bloom because the orchids are stressed from such early heat. I'm struggling keeping them watered, especially the vandas. With the few that I have in bloom, I am still proud of the accomplishment. So let's start with the first one that I'm the most proud of because it's a first time bloomer for me, and it is a species orchid. It's Cattleya aclandiae. I got a double bloom, and the bloom was a surprise the way that the buds developed. It crept up on me. So you can say that I was joyfully surprised. The blooms are super fragrant, smells like an entire bouquet of very sweet roses packed into just these two blooms. Next one has an iconic smell. It's the coconut orchid. It's Maxillaria tenuifolia. I have two varieties here, the regular red brick color one and then the yellow Yamada variety. Both smells just the same. The yellow one is purchased from Carmela this past winter. I immediately gave it full sun in the winter, seeing as how dark the green foliage were when I received it. That did the trick to get it to bloom. I'll be doing a care and culture and how to rebloom this orchid on a video soon. Neophenesia Folkata is a first-time bloomer here. I purchased it from Hauserman about 2 months ago, and it already is blooming. What an awesome reward that it has given me already. The blooms are very fragrant for such a little orchid, and I love the structure of the exotic-looking bloom with the fanned-out petals and the long spurs, which is really what I think that makes it a exotic and exquisite looking orchid. And it has been blooming for about 3 weeks now. Next is a Brassavola hybrid. Specifically, it's Cattleya Summer Spot times Brassavola nodosa. I haven't really smelled the nodosa scent on it yet, but then I haven't really been outside at night to notice. I do love the blend of the soft pastel color in the blooms. Next is Dendrobium Farmeri, and when I got it home I noticed a couple of tiny growths in the top of the cane that looks like potential flower spike, and sure enough they were. Nice that this is a blooming size already. I thought that I had to wait a couple of years when I was selecting this orchid. I hadn't noticed the little nubbins on the cane. They bloom for about 2 weeks and their buds mature very quickly. The flowers are real thin and they look like a phylum. I'm going to add this deciduous dendrobium to the other deciduous collection for this winter. This one is the latest bloomer, but we'll have to see if the trend continues once we get this one into the same cycle as the other deciduous ones. Many documentations of Farmeri says that it blooms in late spring or summer. This is Yamada Queen Adelia, which is a piece broken off from an adult size plant from my friend V. It only took a few months for this very hardy orchid to get established with new roots and two new growth here. It's only May, and can you believe this? Dendrobium firewing is a second time bloomer. The last time it bloomed was in February, and here's a video of its blooming in February. And what's even more rewarding is that the blooms will last for at least 5 weeks. Next one is a bloomer from Williams' collection that I brought back. Encyclia tampensis, also known as the Tampa butterfly orchid. Yeah, I think this is a good sign that this orchid is on its way to recovering and establishing to a new home. These should be a long-lasting blooms. Next one is my favorite orchid for fragrance. It smells like honeydew. This is Dendrobium royal Genting, a mid-sized dendrobium, so very manageable. And this is also a second-time bloomer this year, along with Dendrobium firewing. Still blooming is this epidendrum hybrid. In the same basket is a pink epidendrum hybrid. I was lazy and didn't cut off the old bloom spike, and a month later a second bloom spike is branching off the original. We also have a keiki here too. I have never grown epidendrums before, so I didn't know about the recurrent blooms on old bloom spikes. So I guess don't cut it off unless it dries up. This next one is Dendrobium Sherry Abe, and it was in spike when I brought it back. It is from Williams' collection. So thank you, Michelle, for keeping this one in such good shape that is blooming. Another one from Williams' collection is this Oncidium intergeneric, Mtdm Pacific Paragon, honey butter. It was in spike when I brought it back home. So thanks again, Michelle, for keeping these in good shape. This one is Ctsm Frilly Doris times spitzii. This is unexpected that this orchid is putting out a bloom spike in spring. Normally it blooms after a full set of leaves are done growing, and it's naturally in the fall. I wonder if this means that this Ctsm may bloom twice this year. I do hope so, because the blooms don't last very long. Despite on Sunset Valley's website suggesting that the blooms last 6 to 8 weeks, I usually only get 2 to 3 weeks. Next is a comeback orchid, my BLC Marie's Glory. There's a collection of orchids with Marie's naming scheme in it. I wonder what that's all about. Might be interesting to dig more into it. There's Marie's Love, which I have from Williams' collection now. And then there's Marie's Magic, Marie's Song. Anyway, I almost rotted this one. I was able to salvage what I can by quickly cleaning it up when I saw that it was rotting, and I disinfected it with heavy flushing water and then with hydrogen peroxide spraying. And I dried it out, then repotted in new media. Next is Dendrobium royal chip, another Latoria. It's one of the smaller Latorias and a long-time bloomer. And then lastly, a couple of mini phals. I love how long these last and so easy to care for. Well, that's all I have. Thanks for joining me in another What's in Bloom, and I hope you all have a good day. Please subscribe, like, or comment. Bye-bye.